Welcome to this relaxing ASMR session. Settle in, get comfortable as we learn about the intricate structures that power the anterior leg. So let's begin. Okay, so we're going to start with the iliopsoas muscle. Here we have psoas. It's labeled as psoas major, but there's also a psoas minor. Not all of the population has psoas minor, so we'll just call it psoas or psoas major for now and color it the one color. So as you can see, the origin of psoas is on the transverse processes, the vertebral bodies. And it descends down, passing the hip joint. And it attaches into the lesser trochanter. This is the iliopsoas muscle, is our primary hip flexor. So psoas crosses the vertebral bodies, the lumbosacral joint, and the hip joint. And then we have iliacus. This is a fan-shaped muscle that attaches to the iliac fossa, fuses together with psoas. To make the iliopsoas muscle. Okay, there's some adductors indicated here. I believe this is adductor longus and gracilis. We'll just give it a quick color in. Okay. So we're moving on to to the most superficial muscles of the anterior thigh. So let's have a look at some of these muscles. So going back to our iliopsoas muscle, we have our iliopsoas muscle here. We have psoas major or psoas, and we have the fibers of iliacus. So let's color those in. Okay, that's psoas. Now the fibers of iliacus. Right here, you'll see I'm not coloring this bit in. This is actually a ligament called the inguinal ligament. Okay. So, moving on to number 3. This muscle here is called tensor fascia lata, or TFL. Tensor fascia lata attaches to the anterior superior iliac spine and a bit of the iliac crest. And it attaches into the iliotibial band or iliotibial tract, often referred to as the IT band, and that ultimately attaches into the lateral condyle of the tibia. So this muscle crosses the hip as well as the knee. So we'll just color this in just at the muscle belly. So this muscle helps with hip flexion, internal rotation of the hip. It abducts as well as it helps keep the knee extended. Number 4 is Sartorius. Sartorius refers to a tailor who sits kind of cross-legged when sewing, so that the hip and the knee are flexed This is the action of Sartorius. Sartorius originates at the anterior superior iliac spine, also known as the ASIS. It also attaches to the superior part of a notch that is inferior to the ASIS. And the muscle fibers travel inferiorly and medially. And Sartorius attaches to the superior part of the medial surface of the tibia. So this means that Sartorius crosses the hip joint and the knee joint. It flexes, abducts, and laterally rotates or externally rotates the thigh at the hip joint, and it also flexes the knee. The next muscle we're going to be working on is Rectus femoris, which is part of the quadriceps femoris group. They all fuse to form the quadriceps femoris tendon, which is continuous with the patellar ligament. So you can see it here. They all fuse here and attach into that patellar ligament. So the interesting thing about the rectus femoris muscle is that it attaches to the anterior inferior iliac spine and the ilium superior to the acetabulum. This means that it is the only quadriceps muscle that passes the hip joint. The others only pass the knee joint. So that means rectus femoris steadies the hip joint and helps Iliopsoas flex the hip joint. As well, it works with the rest of the quadriceps to extend the knee. So the next muscle of the quadriceps group is vastus lateralis. So it's on the lateral aspect of the thigh. So vastus lateralis attaches from the greater trochanter, that big hip bone that you can feel on the side of your hip joint, and also the lateral lip of the linea aspera of the femur bone, and the gluteal tuberosity. And like the rest of the quadriceps, it attaches into the tibial tuberosity via the patellar ligament. And its only action is to extend the knee joint. So, the next muscle of the quadriceps group is the vastus medialis. Vastus medialis originates at the intertrochanteric line and medial lip of linea aspera. Now, my coloring book says also the greater trochanter of the femur, but this just isn't possible. The greater trochanter is on the lateral aspect of the hip joint. Perhaps they meant lesser trochanter, which is on the inside of the femur, the medial side. And this, of course, after all, is vastus medialis, because it's on the inside. So I'm just going to go ahead and color that in. And just like the other quadriceps, it attaches into the common tendon, which fuses into the patellar ligament and attaches at the tibial tuberosity below the knee. This muscle also extends the knee joint, but there are some fibers called the vastus medialis obliquus, which are very important in keeping the patella, the kneecap, on track when the knee is extending. So it pulls it along its track. move to the last muscle of the quadriceps group and the last muscle that we're going to cover for the anterior thigh today. This is Vastus intermedius. So it lies underneath rectus femoris, deep to rectus femoris. Vastus intermedius attaches from the anterior and lateral surface of the femoral shaft, as you can kind of see right here. It's the shaft of the bone. And it attaches the same way the other quadriceps muscles do, at the base of the patella. At the tibial tuberosity. Its job is to also extend the knee. And there you have it. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this session, feel free to like and subscribe so that you can have more moments of relaxation as we look